John here. I'm back again with another video, and today I'm going to bring you my top 20 favorite films. And this was fun to put together. It took about a day and a half. It's a little bit tough too because you're trying to decide, oh, do I put this above this? And so I gave it a lot of thought. And originally it was going to be a top 11. But then I'm like, oh, I need to add this movie, so 11 became 15. 15 became 20. So I'm like, okay, 20 is a good number. So let me stop there. So I've compiled a list of my top 20 favorite films. And I know there's going to be some films in here that may not be in everybody's top 20. And that's fine. I can't help it with some of these films. These are films that I love, that I have a connection to. And with each film, I'm going to try to give, some background, some reason as to why I love this movie and why it's in my list. And I never, done anything like this before. I know some people have asked about my top 5 favorite films or, my top 10, but I've never done a video talking about my top 20. So before I get to that, I'm going to talk about some honorable mentions here. So I've listed 5 movies here that are honorable mentions. Now, the first movie, Die Hard. And I know people are like, what? Die Hard is not in your top 20? I love Die Hard. It's a great movie. It's an action classic. One of the greatest action movies ever made. And it is a Christmas movie, no matter what Bruce Willis says. But when I looked at my top 20, I'm like, these are films that I watch more than Die Hard. And I don't want to, give the wrong impression or make it seem like I don't like the movie. I love Die Hard. I can't stress that enough. But, maybe there's, again, when I talk about my top 20, these are films that I watch more, that I connect, or I shouldn't say connect, but, that are more comfort movies. And Die Hard is a comfort movie. But maybe, again, it's all about films that I watch more. While Die Hard is a great movie, it's an action classic. And of course, if I stretched it out to like a top 25, Die Hard would be in there. But yeah, Die Hard is an honorable mention. Number 2, Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. This was tough because this is one of my favorite comedies. And it was tough because I'm like, I don't want to leave out that movie. I wanted to have at least one John Hughes movie in my top 20. It was either Ferris Bueller's Day Off, but Planes and Trains and Automobiles, that's my favorite John Candy movie. It's my favorite John Hughes movie. And it's such a great film with the 2 leads. Steve Martin and John Candy have great chemistry. And it's a wonderful movie. And again, like with Die Hard, I don't want to give the wrong impression here. But, with the top 20, those are films that I watch more. But I still love Planes and Trains. It's a classic movie. Number 3, The Fugitive. I love The Fugitive. It is probably my favorite thriller of the 90s. And that was hard to leave off my list because I love the film. Harrison Ford, Tom Lee Jones, Andrew Davis, who directed the film. It's a film that I could pop in and not like, okay, it's a film that I've seen before and I can rewatch again. It's just a great movie. It's a classic. It's well directed. And it's a favorite of mine. Again, if this was stretched out, The Fugitive would definitely be in the top 25 or top 30 because it's a favorite of mine. It's a great movie. I didn't kill my wife. I don't care. A classic. Number 4, Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. And I know this is a weird one, but, bear in mind, I had this on tape back in the day. I can't tell you how many times I saw this movie on tape. And I remember the cartoon at the beginning, the Roger Rabbit, was it Roger Rabbit cartoon? But the thing with the movie, as a kid, I always felt like I was one of the characters, that I was part of the adventure. of being stuck in the backyard and you're this small, and while you're trying to make your way through the grass, you're dealing with all these obstacles, like the bees and, different insects. And it was such a, even to this day, it's a great movie with great imagination and practical, production value, because you see the hard work that they put into the production value of, creating this backyard environment, and everything, again, is practical from the grass and, from their point of view. And that's why, it is a favorite of mine when it comes to family movies, because it's a family film and you feel like you're one of the kids. And that you see the world from their point of view, from their perspective, that you're just blown away about, of how the, backyard, how big it is. And you're like this small. And again, I know I weared that tape out. Back in the day when I had that on tape, I wore it out. It was one of my favorite family movies. So, yeah, that is number 4. Number 5, and I know this might be a head scratcher, that this is not in my top 20, but I still love the film to death. Predator 2. And again, I still love the film. It's a great sequel. To me, it's a worthy sequel. I don't care what anybody says out there. Like, if I had a top 5 of favorite sequels, Predator 2 is definitely in there. Now, there's another sequel, which I'll talk about later, that is near my top 5. But, Predator 2 is such a great movie. Great cast. Danny Glover's great. And I don't care about the whole, they took Predator into the city. Who cares? To me, it's different, and it worked. The first movie is a great film, and Predator 2, again, to me, is a worthy sequel. It's an entertaining sequel. It moves at a fast pace. Good kills, great cast with Danny Glover, Ruben Blades, Bill Paxton, Maria Conchita Alonso, Gary Busey as Peter Keyes. In fact, the more I think about it, again, if I stretched it out a little bit, I would put it at number 21, to be perfectly honest. Sorry if I sound a little backed up. I still got a little sinus pressure going on, but, again, Predator 2, it's one of my favorite sequels. But again, when I go back to the top 20, these are films that I watch more and what have you. And there's some other films that I was thinking about earlier. I mean, that I could throw in that honorable mentions list. I mentioned 5 right there, but, Napoleon Dynamite's a great comedy. Another favorite of mine, comedies. Tombstone's a great movie, but yeah, so those are a few right there. I didn't want to mention a lot because I know I have to get to the top 20 here. All right, so those are again honorable mentions. All right, so getting to the top 20, starting at number 20, Jacob's Ladder. Yeah, this is a film that I discovered later on because of YouTube. Guys up here like Matt, and and then I started to look for the movie, watch the film, and I would like to get it on Blu-ray. I don't think there's anything to the features or what have you. If I'm wrong, correct me. I have the DVD, but Jacob's Ladder is such a great movie, very psychological, very disturbing, and it's become a new favorite of mine, like, among my favorites, and I had to include this in my top 20. Tim Robbins does a great job as the lead, and again, it's a very, the way it's shot, I know it's the same director of Fatal Attraction, and the way it's lit, and a lot of the scenes will go on to inspire Silent Hill in the film. A lot of the head shaking and all that stuff, really it's creepy. And the great score, I forgot who did the score, and I should know that, but Yeah, Jacob's Ladder. Again, it's become a favorite of mine that it's newly discovered for me. So I wanted to put in my top 20. Number 19, Inner Space. Now, this film, I remember, I swear Disney Channel would air this movie because I remember they would edit out the profanity. And if people out there remember, let me know, because I swear Disney Channel would sometimes air, these movies like Inner Space. And I swear at one point, Flight of the Navigator, I think, was on TV on Disney Channel. Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, Disney Channel. But yeah, Inner Space, that's where I first saw the movie. And I was probably, I don't know, 10 or 11, maybe 12. And it made such an impression on me, because of the concept. You have Dennis Quaid in this pod that's miniaturized and injected into Martin Short. And, you're along for the ride in this sci-fi comedy directed by Joe Dante. And it's not the only Joe Dante film in my top 20, so a little teaser there. But Inner Space, again, is such a fun movie, with a very cool concept. And you have a great blend of comedy and sci-fi and adventure. Great special effects at the time, of seeing the inside of the human body. Good score. I want to say Jerry Goldsmith did the score for that film. I like some of the song choices. That's when I first heard, Twisting the Night Away by Sam Cooke and the song Cupid by Sam Cooke. So that's how I got introduced to Sam Cooke. But, that film always made an impression on me when I was a kid. And even to this day, it's still a entertaining movie that's become a favorite of mine. Like, I could pop it in and it's like comfort food. And that's kind of what my top 20 is. It's comforting because these are films that I have a connection to, that I've seen before. And yeah, Inner Space is a great movie. Number 18, Mortal Kombat from 1995. Yeah, this film here, the thing is about this film, a little backstory. So back in 2004, September, this is right when I was getting ready to turn 15, we had a house fire. And at the time, I had a small DVD collection. And the firefighters were trying to get stuff out of the house. And I told one of the firefighters, hey, I have a small movie collection in my room. It's in a small closet. Is there any way you can go get that for me? And I probably had, 50 movies or so. It wasn't a big collection at all. At the time, I was really starting to collect movies, DVDs, which I still have. A lot of those DVDs I remember got water damage and smoke damage. So there was quite a few that I had to throw away. But he was able to get a majority of them. And the firefighter came outside, and he had a big sack over his shoulder like Santa Claus, a blanket full of DVDs. And he just laid it down on the grass, and I was able to, get all of my movies. And again, there were some that, got water damage or smoke damage and had to throw away. But there was quite a bunch that I was able to save. It was just funny when I still remember that, the firefighter, coming out with a big sack over his shoulder of movies. But so after that, for a little bit there, we stayed at my neighbor's house. And at the time, I will admit, I was homeschooled for a little bit. And when school was over, I would just lay around and watch movies. And movies, even at that point, movies were an escape. And one film that that helped me get through that time, that I watched a lot, was Mortal Kombat. yeah, that movie, really helped me get through that time, which again, you know, I was getting ready to turn 15. This is 2004, and we were staying at my neighbor's down the road for, I think, a week or 2 weeks until we can find, which we ultimately we found a little duplex down the road, and we stayed there for a few months while we rebuilt the house. But at my neighbor's house, whenever I would get done with my schooling, my work, after that, I would just watch movies all day. And there's some that I remember watching all the time. Mortal Kombat being one of them. What About Bob being one of them. The Three Amigos being one of them. I just remember constantly watching all these movies, and it really helped me get through that time period. And that's why Mortal Kombat is on this list, because it helped me get through that time, but it's also a great, and to me, still the best video game film. Like, nothing has been able to touch it. Not the 2021 movie, which was a bore fest. But the 1995 film got it right. Great characters. I mean, yeah, some of the CG is not the best. But that film has more personality than the 2021 film. The characters were better. Yes, we may not have had the R-rated gore, but to me, it's an entertaining film. And that's why, for me, Mortal Kombat 1995 is in my top 20. Number 18. All right, number 17, The Crow. To me, one of my favorite comic book movies. Rest in peace, Brandon Lee. And it's a film that it's a great movie, but at the same time, it's hard to watch because you see the wasted potential of Brandon Lee, what he could have done after The Crow. So, it's a great movie, but it's hard to watch because, you see the greatness of a star, and you see his rocket taking off, but it was short-lived. But to me, it's one of my favorite comic book movies, and great soundtrack. The way it's filmed, Alex Proyas did a great job. I mean, yeah, we could talk about the tragedy, and either way, no matter what you believe, Brandon Lee died way too young, and it should have never happened. That's the thing; it should have never happened. And while it's sad, what happened to Brandon, it's still a great comic book film, and it's a classic. So that's number 17. Number 16, Alien, the first Alien. Yeah, I love Alien. Great cast. Sigourney Weaver. And you have these blue-collared characters, and it's in space where no one can hear you scream. And now that I'm talking about it, I want to go back and rewatch it again. But what more can you say about Alien? The first Alien film, it's a great film. The one that started it all. Of course, I'm not going to talk about Alien 3. That killed the franchise. And I haven't seen Prometheus. I've seen Alien Covenant. I hate Alien Covenant. And funny enough, I saw Covenant before Prometheus. I still haven't seen Prometheus. But for some reason, I saw Covenant. Just stop the, like Predator, which I'll talk about later. We don't need any more Alien films. We don't need any more Predator films. Stop it. But yeah, the first Alien's a classic. That's at number 16. Number 15, Ghostbusters. Yes, the original Ghostbusters. I love the film. Great cast. Bill Murray, Dan Aykroyd, Harold Ramis, rest in peace, Ernie Hudson. Directed by Ivan Reitman. And it's such a comedy classic. You can't go wrong with Ghostbusters. I like the soundtrack. I like the score. And it's a very quotable movie. Yes, it's true. The man has no dick. But yeah, I mean, Ghostbusters, I mean, what more can you say about the film? It's one of my favorite comedies. So I love Ghostbusters. Number 14, The Matrix. Yes, The Matrix, the first Matrix film. I remember watching that for the first time back in 2000. And I went to one of my friend's apartments. It was like at the time in middle school, I had a friend and he lived at these apartments, and I remember watching The Matrix. And then I think later on that year when we went to Arizona, I remember watching The Matrix again, and this was around November of 2000. So, and then, when I really started to collect movies was around 2003. The summer of that year that was when I really started to collect movies. The first two movies I ever bought, The Matrix and The Mask with Jim Carrey. So that is of, some importance because, again, it's one of the first movies I ever bought. And but also aside from that, it's a great, well-made movie. Definitely a 90s classic. And, you can't go wrong with that movie. And it's, again, it's like, what more can you say about The Matrix? It's a classic. And because, again, it's one of the first DVDs that I ever bought, which, now I don't have anymore. That was over 19 years ago. But I have the Blu-ray. I got the first one and the second one on Blu-ray, and I have Revolutions on DVD. But I love The Matrix. Never get tired of The Matrix. Number 13, First Blood Part 2. First Blood Part 2, I mean, I love the first movie, but, as time goes on, I gravitate more towards the sequel because it feels more bigger. You got more action. You got John Rambo kicking ass, and it just, for me, while the first film is a great movie, and I could also throw that in honorable mentions, because First Blood I saw first, and it's a classic movie. It's more of a serious movie, serious film, but again, at this point in my life, I would say I prefer the second film more, because maybe for me, that's when the Rambo character felt more larger than life. Big hit for Sly when it came out that year, because you had that in Rocky 4. So, and yeah, I love First Blood Part 2. Murdoch, I'm coming for you. Yeah, I need to watch it again, but that's number 13. Number 12, Predator. What more can you say about Predator? Classic. I remember watching this for the first time. I think it was on AMC. I can't remember the year. Maybe the early 2000s. But yeah, Predator. I still love Predator 2. And again, I'm going to keep saying this. To me, Predator 2 is a worthy sequel. It's one of my favorite sequels. For the top five of sequels, yeah, Predator 2 is definitely, heck, it's definitely in the top 3. But, Predator, that's, the original is still a classic. You have the most manliest cast that's ever been assembled. You got Arnold, you got Carl Weathers, you got Jesse Ventura, Bill Duke, Shane Black, before he ruined the Predator and turned it into one big pussy. But, you have a great cast, great ensemble, with machismo just oozing through the screen. Kevin Peter Hall, rest in peace. Great score. by Alan Silvestri. Great special effects by Stan Winston. Great, environment with the jungle. Yeah, Predator is at number 12. Number 11, John Carpenter's The Thing. Again, another favorite of mine. I had to put that on this list. One of my favorite horror films. And yeah, I love the suspense, the tension of the movie, that it's in this compound, and Kurt Russell, Keith David, Wilford Brimley, rest in peace. But yeah, trying to figure out who's the thing, and it's just such a great movie. I mean, it's John Carpenter, well directed, did a great job directing. And I know, he caught a lot of flack with that one back in the day, but, screw the critics. I love The Thing from 1982. Definitely belongs in my top 15. So what more can you say about, I mean, I could talk about The Thing for an hour, but I love The Thing. Number 10, The Big Lebowski. Yeah, The Big Lebowski has definitely become one of my favorite comedies. It's a comedy that I can rewatch because of the cast and their exchange. Jeff Bridges as the dude. You have John Goodman in there as Walter. Steve Buscemi as Donnie. Shut the fuck up, Donnie. I can get you a tow, dude. I can get you a tow by 3 o'clock. I mean, that's a film that I can just quote. I mean, obviously, you're not a golfer. I mean, what else? Did I pee on your rug? But, yeah, The Big Lebowski, to me, is a comedy classic. And I know it may not be everybody's cup of tea, but I love the movie. It's a comedy that's like comfort food. I could pop it in, watch it and be like, I want to watch it again. And that's The Big Lebowski for me. Number 9, The Shining. Yeah, I love The Shining. I remember the first time watching this movie. It was back in, I want to say, 2001. And we had went to the beach. And I did not put any sun lotion on. So I got sun poison real bad. Like my back was all bubbled up. And I got, sun poison real bad. And at the time, I was probably 11 or 12. So I got covered in aloe vera, and I had to go back to the shack and relax and just take it easy. That's all I could do because I'm sunburned to death. And I just laid on the couch and watched TV. And the movie that came on was The Shining. So here I am, laying on the couch, with sun poison. Again, I was like 11 or 12. And laying back and watching The Shining. But, yeah, that's what... I still remember that to this day. And The Shining, I just love because, Stanley Kubrick directed the movie. Jack Nicholson is insane and psychotic. And, Shelley Duvall, I know her acting gets, some people are annoyed by her, but I like her in the movie. And the fact that, this guy, he's stuck in this hotel and he goes insane. And I now want to watch the movie. Like, I want to go back and rewatch it now that I'm talking about it. But I love The Shining. Probably my favorite Stephen King film. Number 8, Batman from 1989. Yes, I love Batman. To me, it's my number 1 favorite comic book film. Behind that is The Crow. But, what more can you say about Batman? Taking a little bit of drink. But again, Batman, I mean, Michael Keaton was great. And I know at the time, people were writing all these petitions to take out Michael Keaton and proved them wrong. Jack Nicholson was great as the Joker. Perhaps he was the best part of the movie. Great score by Danny Elfman. Great direction by Tim Burton. And, it lit the box office on fire. I mean, 1989 was the summer of the Bat. Batman was the biggest movie that year, and yeah, it's still a classic to me. I mean, to this day, Michael Keaton's still my favorite Batman. Um, Jack Nicholson is still my favorite Joker, and I just love it. So, yeah, Batman is at number 8. Number 7, The Burbs. And I know this may not be in everybody's top 10, but The Burbs, I mean, I just have such a ball with. I mean, Tom Hanks, this is my favorite Tom Hanks movie. And I would definitely say it's my favorite comedy of all time. You know, Tom Hanks, you know, he suspects his neighbors are, you know, like killers, the Klopeks. You have his neighbors, like his friends, uh, like Art in the film, played by Rick Dukeman, who I know has passed away. Bruce Dern as Rumsfeld. Yeah, you got Corey Feldman, he's in the film. But Carrie Fisher as, you know, Tom Hanks's wife. Uh, and you get some little appearances in the film that you've seen in other Joe Dante films, like, you know, Dick Miller. He's one of the garbage men. But, you know, The Burbs, I love the idea of Tom Hanks. He suspects that his neighbors are up to something, that they're, you know, ritualistic killers or something like that. But, you know, it's his friends that are more suspect, and they're trying to convince Tom Hanks, you know, hey, something's up here. You know, they're probably devil worshippers. Tom Hanks is on vacation. He wants to sort of mind his own business, even though he has his eye looking over here. He doesn't want to. He doesn't really want to believe it. But that's what makes it fun. But yeah, I love The Burbs. If you haven't seen The Burbs, definitely give it a watch. Number 6, Aliens. Yeah, I love Aliens. I mean, what more can you say about the film? A great sequel, and I definitely put it above Alien. I love Alien, and it's still on this list, but Aliens really, you know, does it for me because it feels more, I mean, this is James Cameron in the 80s, not James Cameron now, where he makes, you know, 53 avatars, and he's Jimmy Cammy. Before that, he was James Cameron. Before Titanic, he actually directed some great movies. You know, like The Terminator, like Aliens, like The Abyss, which is another great movie. True Lies. And now James Cameron is full of lies because he can't make up his mind. He's Jimmy Cammy. But I will give him credit here with Aliens. Aliens is a great movie, entertaining sequel. It's more action-packed. I love the cast. Sigourney Weaver, but not just her. Bill Paxton, Michael Biehn, Lance Henriksen. Game over, man. Game over. But, yeah, I mean, what's her name as Jeanette Goldstein? Is that her name? Vasquez? Yeah. And I actually it's funny because I saw her at a convention a couple of years ago, and I think it was a couple of years ago, or it may have been 2018, but, you know, I was kind of hanging around in this lobby, and me and my friend, we kind of sat on this bar, and Jeanette Goldstein was like 3 feet away, and I never talked to her, like I never approached her, but she was talking to one of her handlers, and it was just cool, you know, that she was sitting right there. And then Lisa Wilcox came by and asked us, you know, where's the VIP room? And we're like, it's over there. You know, like everybody's over there dancing. So that was fun. You know, to see Lisa Wilcox, you know, come by. But I was sitting right next to Vasquez, and I didn't want to say anything, but I didn't want to be rude, but it was cool that she was there. But yeah, getting back to Aliens, great sequel. Entertaining movie. In fact, I was rewatching it the other night. So that's number 6. Number 5. Yeah, Big Trouble in Little China. I love Big Trouble in Little China. I never get tired of it. And it makes me, a little sad in the end because you want to see more adventures with Jack Burton. Like, man, they could have made a trilogy with this guy. They definitely could have made a trilogy with this character. Take us on more adventures with Jack Burton and the Pork Chop Express. But, yeah, I mean, I love Big Trouble in Little China. I remember picking that up for the first time from Circuit City. I'm like, this looks cool, this looks like fun. It looks like a fun movie. I picked it up at Circuit City, and this is probably mid-2000s when I first saw it. But, yeah, I love Big Trouble in Little China. Another movie that you can quote, it's all in the reflexes. But I just love the concept, the adventure, the villain Lopan. I could gush about that movie. John Carpenter, another great John Carpenter movie. And I would say it's my favorite John Carpenter film. I love The Thing, but Big Trouble in Little China really, that one really hits the spot. And I love the film to death. I got that poster right there in the back. So that is number 5. Number 4, Tremors. Yeah, Tremors. I never get tired of Tremors. Whenever, I see it on TV, I'm going to watch it. I got the Blu-ray, and I know there's a better Blu-ray out there that has, I think it's the Era Blu-ray, that has features and what have you, new interviews, but I just love Tremors. Great characters. I mean, Kevin Bacon, Fred Ward, Michael Gross. Stampede, Earl, get out of the way, get out of the way. You dumb shit. That's a film that I could quote. I mean, I wouldn't give you a gun if it was World War III. And again, great blue collar characters. Great special effects with the graboids. I love the location of perfection, where the population is like 12. A good body count. And I love Tremors 2. That's a really good follow-up. A really good sequel. But Tremors, I mean, really, my favorite creature feature, or actually, number 1, I mean, I'll talk about that. But, again, I love Tremors to death. Number 3, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, 1990. Yes, the first live-action Ninja Turtles movie. I love another film that I had on tape way back when, and I remember watching that quite a bit. I probably wore that out. And I remember the Pizza Hut commercial at the beginning. Off in the distance, the game's dragging on. Their strikes all a batter. I can't remember the whole thing, but I could, I just remember that. But yeah, I mean, that and the second movie, and even the third movie, which is not good, but yeah, I remember watching those a lot, me and my brother. But the first movie, I mean, it's dark, it's, to me, still the best Ninja Turtles film. And, I wish that it was, I don't know why even now that film cannot get special features. There's been plenty of opportunities to give that film a special edition. Even now in 2022, we can't get that for some reason. I know there's one overseas in Germany, but where you see some different footage and what have you. And I think there's a commentary by Steve Barron. But, that film definitely deserves more for being such a big hit of that year. It made the top 5, didn't it? Or the top 10, but I know it made the top 5. One of the two. But yeah, like I said, the first Ninja Turtles movie, the live action one, and I still enjoyed the sequel, Secret of the Ooze. I mean, yes, you can take out Vanilla Ice, but the first movie, I still enjoy to this day, even at my age. I still love it to death. So that's number 3. Number 2, Hackers. Yes, I mean, even like for a while, Hackers was number 1, and I'll talk about number 1 in a second. But, Hackers, that's where I get my moniker, the Zero Cool, from. I just really enjoy the stylish direction of the movie. The characters are cool. The visuals are nice to look at. And it's a film that when I first saw it, I didn't understand what it was about. And that's the funny thing about the film, is that my first impression of Hackers, I liked it, but at the same time, I guess maybe because of all the computer lingo and, what have you, that I liked it, but there was a part of it that I couldn't really understand or couldn't relate to. But as the years have gone by, I find myself really, loving the film, because I love the style of the movie, the characters. It's a very, to me, entertaining cyberpunk thriller. John Lee Miller, Angelina Jolie, to me, it's her best movie. I like her as Tomb Raider. But if you're going to talk about, if you're going to talk about my favorite Jolie movie, Hackers, it's definitely not Cyborg 2. But I love Hackers. Matthew Lillard's fun in it. Really cool soundtrack. I really enjoy the music in the film and the score. Fisher Stevens is a fun villain. And, people might ask, why is it so high on your list? You put it above Aliens, you put it above The Shining and Predator. Because, again, I mean, it's just over the years, for some reason, even though it may not be everyone's favorite, it may not be in everyone's top 20, or favorites list, but, I've really come to love the film. I feel a connection to the movie. I really enjoy the 90s tech, being that at the time, internet was at its infancy. The characters are fun. It's very stylish. I know I've mentioned that more than once here, but that's the first word when I think about when I talk about Hackers. It's the style. It's the visuals, the graphics that you see throughout the movie. It really captures the era, the mood of the time, along with the internet, which at that time we're still trying to understand. And and the music, you throw that in there, I just really enjoy it. I mean, I can't help it. Again, that's where I get my moniker. So Hackers is at number 2. And my number 1 favorite film of all time, first off, I have to give a drink because I will dry myself out. But my number 1 favorite film of all time, Jaws. Love Jaws. And again, for a while it was Hackers, but Jaws to me is my favorite film of all time. I never get tired of it. It's a film that if it's on TV, I'm definitely going to watch it. I love the documentary, The Shark Is Still Working, which is on the Blu-ray. I think it's like an hour and a half, but I think there is a longer version out there. But yeah, I mean, what more can you say about the film? Great characters. I like that, it's a slow build up, like Alien, which I talked about already, but films that are slow burn, but you get invested in the characters, like The Thing, like, again, Alien, where it's a build up, but you got characters that complement the build up. you're invested in these characters and their personalities and the way that they bounce off each other, and the dialogue and the way it's written. Steven Spielberg directing. And, you know, I love the music by John Williams. And there's so much more that, you know, what more can you say about the movie? But yeah, Jaws is number one. My number one favorite film of all time. But that's it. That is my top 20 favorite films of all time. And again, you know, maybe, you know, in a year, you know, like maybe the last few could change up a little bit, but you know, for right now, to me, this is good. And I hope you guys enjoyed this video here. A little bit of a different video, but all in all, thank you for watching. What is your top 20? Or, you know, it doesn't have to be 20, but what is your, you know, say top 10 or, you know, top 11? But yeah, that's it for now. Thank you for watching and have a good day. For those interested, if you'd like to support the channel, I'll leave links down below in the description for PayPal and Patreon, you know, where you can request, you know, the same kind of content. You know, PayPal's more for one-off requests. And as far as what you can request, I will also leave that information down below. And with Patreon, again, it's the same kind of content, but that includes crediting too. So, and on Patreon, crediting starts at $1 a month for those who are interested. But that's it for now. Thank you for watching and have a good day.